My aim today is to turn Aston Villa into the biggest club in the world. And to do that, I'm going to need to accomplish 4 things in just 10 seasons. Firstly, we need to dominate domestically. I want to win 5 Premier League titles with Villa. I also need to win 3 Champions League trophies with them too. And we need to be poaching the best young talent in the country as well. So I want to sign 3 English new gens bought from other clubs that last until our final team. And of course, we need to be recognised as the #1 team in the world. That's right, and we are starting at what would be the end of the current season that we are in real life. I'm using the real life database. All I have done is just simulate the last 3 games that they have, and it's placed Aston Villa in 7th spot. So we've got to take this team, which remember have won a European Cup in 1982. They've also won 7 league titles, and give them 5 more league titles and 3 more Champions Leagues in just 10 seasons. I don't think that's too much to ask for, right? Now, recently, you said you like the more in-depth squad building type of discussions in the video, so I'm going to try and appease you here. And we're looking at this Aston Villa side. We've got to take out the 2 positions on the right and the left, because that was Marcus Rashford and that was Marco Asensio. And we won't have them next season. It's going to be obviously 2 players that are out on loan. We do have players coming back, but I don't think any of these players are really going to get into the first team and be better than what we had. Now, we do have, of course, Morgan Rogers, who I think is an excellent player that we could utilise from that left-hand side, which leads me to think, looking at what this is as the best 11 with Rashford and Asensio taken out, where our weaknesses lie, I think, is in this Segundo Volante position here. Now, there are other options, of course. We've got Amadou Onana that we could use. We've also got John McGinn. We've also got Yuri Tillemans, who for some reason the game really does not rate that highly. I think he's an excellent player, and I think since he's been at Aston Villa, he's been a breath of fresh air for him, especially this season. I think the fullbacks, possibly, we could look at replacing in a couple of years' time. Ollie Watkins is, 28 now, so we're all good with Ollie Watkins for the next couple of seasons, but it's whether we can get the best out of him, and that's where we need to be looking at, because transfer budget-wise, they've only given us £54 million. So I'll show you who I've decided to bring in once we get there. First off, I raised some extra funds by selling Buendia on his return from his loan spell at Leverkusen for £26.5 million. I then brought in 2 players, the first being Mohamed Kudus from West Ham. I think he's an excellent player that we can utilise from the right-hand side, but he can also play down the middle or in centre midfield naturally too. A very good young option, only 24 years of age, great attributes already, and we got him for £73 million, which might seem a bit of an overspend, but if he spends a lot of time here, will seem like a bargain. The second signing was a left-back in Matteo Ruggeri, a very young Italian 22-year-old left-back for just £22 million. And that's kind of where we're at the start of the season. We have yet to play a game, as you can see, but we are about to start the season with a clash against Manchester City, so that's going to be fun. But using a 4-2-3-1, we're very standard. I think getting Rodgers into the team as much as possible this season, behind him with Ruggeri, and using Onana as that CDM role. He has good potential. He's only 22. Let's see if we can utilise him and make the most out of this first season. And obviously, with the targets set in mind, we set out to hopefully win some trophies, or at least progress towards them. But I think our first season might just shock you. I don't quite believe it, but we have won the league on games against each other against Liverpool and Arsenal, who had a worse goal difference, to be fair. But 80 points for both Arsenal, Liverpool and us. We had 44 goal difference, which is the same as Liverpool. We had a worse record. We had more losses than Liverpool, but we beat them both times in the league. And if you're looking at the rules, well, you might know them already. It goes off of goal difference first, then goals scored, then results between teams. Maybe we scored more goals. We did. Well, we would have won anyway if it was games against each other, because we beat Liverpool twice. But we've got 1 Premier League in the bag already in season #1. Now, we're setting out to win 5, so to get 1 in the first season is a bit of a miracle. But that wasn't the only trophy we won, and we didn't obviously win the Champions League. We weren't in the Champions League, but we did win the FA Cup, because we went and defeated Crystal Palace in the final of that too. An absolutely outstanding season. The Europa League was lost in the quarter-final by Chelsea, but I mean, Ollie Watkins with 25 league goals picks up the golden boot as well in a rather impressive first season. That is fantastic on our quest to make Aston Villa the best team in the world. Now, by the way, when I keep mentioning to make us the best team in the world, this is where I need to be number one in, and it is on the club's list of the world reputation ranking. You can see already Real Madrid are up there as the number one, with Liverpool second, Man City, Barcelona, the teams that you would expect. We are all the way down here right now, so we are only a 4-star team reputation-wise. There's obviously Brazilian teams ahead of us, Russian teams, there's a lot of French teams, of course, Italian, German, all of these other nations that we need to overtake in 10 years, or now 9 years, to get to number one. That's our main goal, but we've already knocked down one of the goals, or at least 1/5 of a goal. Now, looking at the season that we had, obviously Ollie Watkins with 38 goals was a very impressive return in terms of goal contributions. Donyell Marlins actually had a really good year as well. And Jacob Ramsey, who played a lot of games, has developed quite well. And I'm liking that. And I like the idea of being able to use Jacob Ramsey for at least 7 to 8 years before he kind of gets too old for us. Maybe we have to sell or cash in. But Mohamed Kudus, I think that's a great signing. He's come in straight away with only 8 goals in the Premier League, but 13 in total, and putting up some good performances. He's contributed for us to win the league. Even Philip Coutinho scored 10 goals and got 6 assists, and did notice towards the end of the season, which, by the way, we almost threw it away. And the reason why Arsenal finished on the same points as us is because we lost on the final day to them, which is quite impressive, to be honest, because also, on the final day, Newcastle beat Liverpool 2-0. We actually really needed to win the game because we actually overtook, and you can see here, on the final day, we overtook Liverpool to become champions, even though we lost the game, which is rather impressive. I don't think that's ever been done before, but I'll take that as a record, if that's the first thing that we've ever managed to accomplish. Now, transfer budget-wise, next season, if we're looking at it, £94 million. Have we had like a takeover or anything? Surely not already. No, we haven't. I guess there's just kind of rich owners already. Secure finances. We got a good budget. We'll take it. Adding on to that budget, there were a lot of transfers out, but the most notable one was probably Yuri Tillemans, who went to Al Nassr for £30 million. And I was identifying that Segundo Volante role as the position I wanted to increase, and that's why I went out and signed Javi Guerra from Valencia, a fantastic centre defensive midfielder who can also push forward and be a devil. He's got 13 for finishing, great composure. He does get forward as well, arrives late in the opposition area, perfect for a Segundo Volante, and he only cost us £60 million. I felt like as well there was a couple of positions that I did want to increase or just sort of at least give depth to, one of them being that fullback on the right hand side. Matty Cash is okay, but I kind of want to bring in Yan Guto and I want to lock him in. I want to play him as many games as possible, and the reason for it, he's so good going forward. That attacking threat of the crossing and the dribbling, great stamina to get up there off the ball of 15. If we are going to become a dominant side, we need more attacking fullbacks. That's just the way of the world now. Matty Cash is great and at the minute is considered a better player, and he does get forward. But he only has 13 for dribbling and he can't really cross. 11 for crossing. It's not good enough for me. Now, I know Ollie Watkins scored a lot of goals, and I'm not selling him, I'm not getting rid of him, but I have brought in maybe a contestant against him, and that's Samu Omarodion. Now, I do want to sort of come across and say I'm not going to just sign all the best players that I usually would sign in a rebuild or something, because I know I signed Samuel Marodion a lot. But there's not a lot of options at the start of the season, and then the end of this goal is to win as many Premier Leagues and maybe the Champions League. I need players for the here and now until there are players that we are not aware of that pop up to become the best players in the world, i.e. the new gens that start to come through. So as a filler point, Samuel Marodion is coming into the club, and I will try not to sign all of the players that I usually sign in rebuilds, other than Samuel Marodion, because there weren't a lot of options. But I did spend £47 million on him. He didn't even play that many games last season. 19. He got 8 goals as well, which is still quite good. But of course, going in as champions, we're sticking with the same formula in terms of the system. Let's see if we can pick up back-to-backs. I'm not expecting that, but after the surprise that happened in the first season, I guess anything can happen. Well, I was right about one thing. Yes, anything can happen. But unfortunately for us, it wasn't exactly what we wanted it to happen in season number 2. Because despite being champions, things weren't going our way and we really needed to switch things up. Just 11 games into the Premier League, because we were teetering on the edge of relegation in 15th place with just 13 points, nowhere near our form from last year. We are also doing terrible in the Champions League as well, a competition of course we need to win 3 times. We have won 1 game out of 4 against Panathinaikos, we have drawn against Leverkusen, and we have lost against Real Madrid and Porto. It's time to change tactic. That system, for some reason, last year was unbelievable. This season, it has not been great for us. So, we're going to switch it round to a 4-2-2 narrow, and that will allow us to play both Watkins and Samu Omarodion up front with each other. Now, I'm using pressing forwards. I'm using a shadow striker one side, an attacking midfielder on the other with Kudus and Rogers. I'm going to try and play them as much as possible. Guerra is still going to be that segundo volante, because I think he's fantastic in that role. But I'm hoping that this can be a slightly different to what we have been offering instead of that 4-2-3-1 and give us better results than this, because this is absolutely dreadful. Now, granted, we have been drawing a lot of games, but you can see in the Premier League here, we are drawing way too many games against teams that we should be beating, and then we are losing and barely scoring many goals. I mean, we lost 4-1 to Wolves. It was quite an embarrassing fixture. We lost 3-0 to Tottenham. Things needed to change, and now is the right time to change them. Yes, things definitely needed to change, and that's exactly what happened, and maybe went a lot better than what we thought it would. Because by the end of the season, we managed to salvage a good 8th place position and actually dropped down into 8th place, meaning we were doing a lot better in that second half compared to the first 11 games. But I am ready to shock the pants right off of your body once again, because this is the Champions League final against Arsenal, where we went on to win 2-0. Yeah. After being an absolute failure in the first 4 games, where we weren't even in the top 24 to even qualify, the next 4 games, moving to this 4-2-2, was absolutely unbelievable. And as you can see, we now lift the first Champions League trophy out of the 3 that we require in this 10-year challenge. I don't really know how we've managed to pull it off, but we finished in 19th place. We did all right from that. We had to go into the knockout playoff round. We went and we beat Leipzig 5-3. Great result, cracking. Give us momentum to then go on and knock out Atletico Madrid 4-0 on aggregate. Quarterfinals, we were beating Inter Milan 7-1. 7-1 in the quarterfinals, but then it got better because then we were coming up against Liverpool, the team that obviously took us right to the wire in the Premier League last season, and we beat them 7-2 on aggregate. We were absolutely outstanding towards the end of the season. Not in the league. We were losing games left, right and centre in the league, but in the Premier League, we were already safe, and we knew a Champions League win would get us Champions League football again next year. Liverpool went on to win the title. Good for them. But Aston Villa, in our quest to become the best team in the world, in 2 seasons, has won 3 trophies. Now, I should also say, Liverpool actually knocked us out of the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup as well in the semi-final stage, and they went on to win both. So they've actually won a domestic treble. Good for them. But we've got the big one. We've got the Champions League. And of course, this season that we've just had, Samu Omarodion playing up front with his mate Ollie Watkins. Both of them got 30 goals, 62 goals between them. Morgan Rogers put in an unbelievable performance, 20 goals and 14 assists. He has developed quite nicely. I would like to use him more and more. And I don't want to sell him. I want to keep him and just nurture him into a quality player. Jan Couto, we said we wanted attacking football from our fullbacks. 18 assists last season. That's exactly what we are looking for. But the transfer budget for next year, £61 million after winning the Champions League. Some interesting things happened this summer though, including the plans to build a brand new stadium to be confirmed for everything. We don't know where it's going to be other than Birmingham. We don't know how big it's going to be, and we don't even know the cost of it yet. Someone who won't be around to see it though is Ezri Konsa, because he's gone to Arsenal, the team we defeated in that Champions League final for £55 million. And that's because I've gone and signed Darwin Núñez. I know. He's become a bit of a meme, hasn't he? Because he's terrible at shots sometimes. But I don't know, there's something about Darwin Núñez that I've just always liked. Maybe it's just that raw aggression that he's got in his game, but Hey, he's fast. He likes to beat the offside trap. He works hard as well. Great off the ball. He only got 12 for composure, which is actually quite accurate, I think. And I did spend £57 million, but I think we can make that work, you know. I really do. Now, looking at the side, we're going to obviously keep the 4-2-2 narrow. Watkins, Omarodion, Darwin Nunez. I mean, has a 3-striker partnership. That ain't too bad at all. With Rodgers and Kudus in behind. Guerra, obviously, there. Scalvini. I know I said I wouldn't sign too many of the players that you're used to seeing, but again, there's no other options. And Conser, there was just too good of a deal. So I think we've got a great team to set out for this upcoming Premier League season. We've also got, of course, the UEFA Super Cup that we've got to play against Besiktas, who, fair play to them, won the Europa League last season. Can we go on and lift our second Premier League title? That's got to be the aim for this season, because obviously we need to win 5 of them in total. So ideally, you want to get 2 in that first 5 years so that you haven't got to put your pressure on, and win at least 4 in the second 5 years. Winning it this season would mean we have to overcome Arsenal, who of course we beat in the Champions League final, but they have an excellent team with Florian Wirtz who are pushing for the league title. But we have also built an excellent team, and it shows when we come up against clubs like Manchester City and we defeat them 4-0, scoring some unbelievable goals. It was bad news in all of the cups, including the Champions League, as Inter Milan dumped us out of the round of 16, defeating us 5-2 on aggregate. But it just seemed like in the Premier League we were on a different level. Look at this game. We beat Brentford 8-0 and didn't even allow them to have a single shot. We had 40 of them. But of course, can we get enough points to beat Arsenal to the Premier League title or not? Well, in season number 3, it is league title number 2, as Aston Villa are crowned champions, 4 points ahead of Arsenal. It was a great season for us. Darwin Nunez, 23 Premier League goals. I'll say that again. Darwin Nunez. I mean, Samu picked up the golden boot, as you'd expect. The average rating, both of our fullbacks are on that list. Both of them, of course, I've bought recently for a very good reason. But Martinez, 18 clean sheets. We had the most goals in the league, but we also had the second amount of clean sheets, or the same amount of clean sheets as Arsenal. They only conceded a few goals less than us. Well, 11, but we just stormed the league. We scored 123 goals, and they were second with just 81. What a season. We didn't pick up any other trophies, as I mentioned, but that is absolutely incredible in terms of the Premier League campaign. 38 goals in total for Samu, who has just developed into an I call him the beast for a reason. Look at the physicals on him. He is absolutely outstanding. He is wanted. And I did say I would sell him at some point. I'm only going to sell him if there is a replacement, though, because we've got a quest on our hands here. We need to make Aston Villa the best team in the world, and I would hazard a guess that we're not quite there yet. If we're looking at the clubs and on the list, we have jumped up quite a bit, though. In fact, there's only 5 teams that are considered bigger than us in the world now. And so it's back to the drawing board, and I'm looking at our recruitment focuses and setting them all out to what we need, because we have £108 million in our transfer budget to spend this summer, and there's a name that I think I've just seen that I want to buy. Maybe you've seen him too, but this is by far the best transfer window we have had here at Aston Villa, and maybe one of the best transfer windows I've had in FM24. This is absolutely outstanding, and if you are enjoying this, please make sure you subscribe for more content like this, because I have just brought in Ruben van Bommel, who I think is a quality player, and the fact that, of course, he is really young and we got him on a free transfer and he plays a lot of positions definitely helps. Right now, we're not using a position that he likes to play, but that can be changed. But we've just signed Joshua Kimmich as well. Joshua Kimmich, 32 years of age, a fantastic, an absolute phenom in the midfield or at right back, just a model professional, obviously, but some of the attributes, disgusting. A quality player, and again, a free transfer. This is the type of player that's going to take us to the next level. He, of course, moved from Bayern Munich to Al Hilal for 117 million, and 3 years later, they're losing him on a free transfer. So we'll take that. But that isn't the only signings that we have made this summer, because we went big. We went big, and we got Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal. I don't know whether you guys seen it as well, but for some reason, Bayern Munich bought him. Well, actually, they got him on a free transfer last year from Barcelona. And okay, we spent £105 million after he only spent 1 season there, and it doesn't even look like he played that many games. I think they just didn't play him as much. So we have given him a lot of money. But it's Lamine Yamal. He's worth it. There's some casualties in this, though. Ollie Watkins has finally left the club. He's 31 now. He has gone for nearly £50 million, which is great. And Andreas Christensen, who I don't even think I mentioned that we signed last season. But yeah, we signed Andreas Christensen for a free transfer, and we've sold him 1 season later for £34 million. So he's gone as well. Now, there is other players. We've got Trubin, who has joined, who I think might be our new #1 goalkeeper instead of Martinez now. That's a great signing. And we've also got a youngster, Noah Mikic from Dinamo Zagreb, who is a Croatian attacking fullback again, to go alongside Jan Kuto to trouble him for that spot for just £7.75 million. Now, of course, we are going to switch things up. And I need to find our identity, our DNA. We've won the league, which is great. We've also won the Champions League the season before. But I want more. I want to establish an identity with Aston Villa here, and I think something like this is going to help us do that. Now that we've got arguably one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, a ball-winning midfielder who's amazing on the ball in Joshua Kimmich, let's give him the trust in just being a sole midfielder. Let's push these fullbacks up. Let's go for as many goals as we possibly can, because now we've got Lamine Yamal, Ramsey, Rodgers, Nunez, Omar Odeon all up front, Kudus off the bench, Van Bommel. Our attacking force is unbelievable. Let's punish teams with this attacking force. Let's take some points. Let's dominate the league title using a new system like this. And so we set out on our quest to make this season a historic one. The 4th season in, we've obviously got some trophies already, but now we've got the big names as well. The question is, though, are we adding too many superstars, and will that spoil the balance of our club? There's obviously been a lot of evidence in the past with the likes of PSG very recently, and of course the Galacticos era in Real Madrid, where too many superstars were added and it kind of spoiled the way that they played football. Is there too many big names trying to take all the headlines for themselves, or are we going to be able to control these big egos and turn them into powerhouses? Well, unfortunately for us, Liverpool bit back and they went on and won the Premier League title in season #4, and quite comfortably too, by 11 points. We got ourselves to the Carabao Cup final, but we lost that one to Newcastle. We got ourselves to the FA Cup final against Crystal Palace, and at Wembley we picked up the 4-2 win, though, meaning it was another trophy. But we played every game this season, meaning we got to the Champions League final, and our old friends Arsenal was there to meet us. And unfortunately, on this day, it wasn't Aston Villa's trophy to pick up. And Arsenal defeated us 2-0 on the night to pick up what I think is their first European trophy. So overall, you've got to be kind of happy with how good the season went, being able to play every single game that season, but maybe that could also have hampered us ever so slightly. I mean, Liverpool ran away in the league. We were too bad in the league in sort of the mid area of the table. We lost too many games there, but the Champions League, we went on an absolute run and we knocked out PSG, we knocked out Manchester United and Roma. We were really good. It's just Arsenal are also really good on this too. And unfortunately for us, they pick up the Champions League trophy this time, which I'm sure it's kind of revenge because obviously we beat them 2 years ago in that Champions League. Now, what I will say is Lamine Yamal won it last year with Bayern Munich, so he knows what it's like to be picking up this trophy, and I'm sure he is wanting more. And his first season in our Premier League season wasn't an amazing one, just 13 goals and 14 assists. There has been some development though. We need to make sure we build a team that Lamine Yamal can absolutely thrive in. We've got the likes of Samuel Morodion still scoring goals, 40 there. Darwin Nunez picking up 27 and 12. Even Van Bommel, who I didn't think would play as many games as what he did, has come in and got 17 goals by himself as well from that left-hand side. We have built an unbelievable team. Maybe we need to tweak this around just ever so slightly, just a little bit, so that it kind of favors us a little bit more at the back. Because what I think is happening is, yes, we are scoring a lot of goals, 108. But you're also conceding quite a bit as well, because as you can see, conceded, we are down in 10th. And for a team that finished in second place, That's not good. Our finances are still looking really healthy though, and the transfer budget of £93 million will help us bring in new talents this summer. Going into season number 5 then, I decided to make a big call and try and sign some of those English talents that is part of our challenge. In fact, I signed 3 of them. We've got Adam Henderby from Leicester City, who I've loaned straight out to Porto. We've also picked up Louis Armstrong from Chelsea, £51 million. He looks like quite a good right back there at 19 years of age. And finally, Andy Harwood, who is from AIK, but he is actually English, for £2.3 million. Now, they weren't the only signings that we made. We also brought in Lewis Ferguson and Mateus Sule on free transfers. They're just to help the squad more than anything and try and... I mean, Lewis Ferguson is actually a quality player. Mateus Sule can definitely be a great backup for Lamine Yamal on that right-hand side. But what I'm thinking with the transfers that we have made this summer is there was nobody that stood out that I thought could go straight into our first team for the money that we had, because I didn't really want to sell anybody this year, and improve it right now, which is the reason why I spent quite a lot of money. I mean, £85 million in total there, but take out the Mikic one, is a roughly about £78 million just on these 3 youngsters. And yes, maybe only 1 in 3 actually turn out to be a first-team player for us, but that is one of our end goals. We need 3 English talents that we have bought from other clubs to go into our first team in that final season. So we need to think about that sooner rather than later, because we are going into season 5 now. There's only going to be 5 seasons after this. Those players need to be around about either coming through now or have already come into the world. So that's the reason why I've signed those 3 players right now. And I do want to give this tactic another try. I know I mentioned we might need to make it a little bit stronger, but then I thought to myself, you just got to the final in every competition and only finish in second place, all right, by Liverpool by quite some margin, but let's give it one more go. And looking at Season 5 as a whole, we were right to do so and give this tactic and system another chance, because we picked up the Carabao Cup with a 1-0 win over Liverpool. And in the Premier League, we were putting in some unbelievable performances again, like this 5-1 win at the end of the season against Chelsea. That's because we have won ourselves another Premier League season. 97 points as well, 12 points ahead of Arsenal. And Samuel Almiron got 24 goals, but Ruben Van Bommel, who's been a bit of a surprise package to be honest, the free transfer, 22 goals there. Darwin Núñez got 20. We dominated the average rating. That's 5 of our players right there. Lamine Yamal had 26 assists. That's the reason why we signed him in the first place. An unbelievable performance. And I think, to be honest, we thoroughly deserved that Premier League title. 140 goals. That is absolutely absurd. The fewest conceded, we were in second place for that. So the system really worked this year. Not only did we score the most goals, we were so good in defence. We only conceded 6 more than Arsenal, who had the most clean sheets that season. A phenomenal performance and picking up 2 trophies domestically that I think we can be really proud of. And are looking at our statistics as well, the amount of goals that is flying in. This is the type of football that Aston Villa fans are going to be wanting to watch. 21 goals and 30 assists from Lamine Yamal is amazing. 33 goals from Samu and 31 from Darwin Núñez. 28 and 18 from Ruben Van Bommel is incredible. The likes of Kudus and Rogers and even Kimmich putting in some unbelievable stats as well. Jan Kuto getting 17 assists. Mikic off the bench. Noah Mikic, who is just a 22-year-old Croatian backup right back for us, has got 12 assists this season from only 19 starts and 12 off the bench. And yet, we've still got £124 million to spend in the summer. Now, our honours are now up to 10 Premier League titles in total, but that's only 3 that we have won ourselves. And of course, that Champions League, which has just been won by Liverpool, we've only got 1 of them. And yet we are halfway through the challenge now, which is kind of worrying. We really need to up our games if we want to be winning the Champions League enough times. and we are still only in 6th place in terms of the world's best team. Liverpool winning the Champions League has just jumped up all the way to 1st place there. This season seen 3 big players leave the club for quite an amount of money. Noah Mikic only spent a short time at the club, but it was a good time. 2 seasons later, we have sold him from £7.75 million to £35 million to Spurs. But Pau Torres has left the club. We have signed somebody far better in that left-sided centre-back spot, and at 32 years of age now, we needed to cash in £26 million to Al Hilal. At left-back, we've gone for another English talent, the 19-year-old Sam McKiernan, who is a very good left-back to start things off, but we have loaned him straight away to Millwall, he was at loan last season in the Championship and played 35 games so he could continue his run there. But going straight into the first team in that left-sided centre-back spot is Vincent Costa, and the Belgian centre-back from Eupen for £11.75 million seems like an absolute bargain. But we still have 2 talents that we have signed for over £100 million each in Milan Jovanovic that we have picked up from Tottenham Hotspur. He only moved for 6.5 last season, but he was so good we picked him up for £100 million. And finally, we went and signed Eduardo Camavinga from Real Madrid, 26 years of age now, in his prime, another £100 million spent, but I think it's worth it to bring those players into our club and hopefully dominate European football next year. Because I'm looking at our squad now and I'm thinking we have got some great world-class players. The amount of world-class players, though, that we have got and developed already is quite shocking, and just a couple of additions each season like this is going to take us from being, okay, we should be winning the league title every now and then, to we should be winning the league title every single season and challenging for the Champions League. And I think those signings are going to be doing that for us. Yes, we have spent a lot of money. I mean, just £200 million there on 2 players. But of course, Sam McKiernan and Costa didn't cost us that much. The players that we have sold was quite a lot, especially Boubacar Kamara, another £50 million there. That's not too bad at all. We are sort of favourites now to be winning the Premier League every single season after, off the back of that, winning the last one. We're now odds-on favourites to do so. And we've got Yamal and we've got Camavinga in the Media Dream 11. The Champions League, I mean, there's obviously a lot of clubs that will be contending for that, but I like to think with those signings, we stand as much chance as Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona and Bayern Munich do. Frustratingly, it was our friends Liverpool who eventually knocked us out of the Champions League in the round of 16, beating us 5-1 in just the first leg. Milan Jovanovic made sure we didn't go the whole season without a single trophy though, because he scored the winner in extra time in the FA Cup final. No Premier League title though, because Arsenal have defeated us to that one, 92 points, and we are way off in terms of even like the Golden Boot, only 18 goals for Samu. I mean, statistically, we did score the most goals still, with 118. We were nowhere near in the fewest conceded. The most clean sheets, we were 5th in that with only 11. So something just doesn't seem right this season. Maybe we need to switch things around a little bit. Maybe we try to go a little bit too attacking. And in terms of the challenge, I mean, that's the end of the 6th season. We have only picked up 3 Premier League titles. We still got to win 2 more there. And the Champions League, we still need to win 2 more Champions League titles as well. And of course, in terms of our first 11, at the minute, we don't have any English players that we have bought from another club in our first team. We've got a Serbian and a German, but we don't have the English talents that we mentioned as part of our challenge. And for the number 1 league in the world, or the number 1 club in the world, we aren't there either. In terms of that list, we're still down. Actually, we've bumped Barcelona out, and we are now in 5th place. The summer of season number 7, though, we sold our number 1 goalkeeper Trubin to Liverpool, our rivals, but for £118 million. Don't worry though, I've got a plan. This is our backup goalkeeper now, Simone Carlotto, that we have signed for £60 million, but we've got one better. And that is Leilton Silva, 21 years of age, a Brazilian goalkeeper that we picked up for just £15 million on a release clause, and he already looks fantastic. Another English talent has been bought in hopes of one of them developing into a world-class player that we can use. Craig Laycock, 21 years of age from Leicester. £20 million was spent and we've loaned him back to the club for first team football. Our final sign-in is a centre defensive midfielder or centre midfielder that we've picked up, Marvin Watayu. He is a French player for £25 million that we got from Anderlecht, and I think he already looks fantastic and going into our new system because we have pulled the fullbacks back. I think for stability-wise in our defence, using inverted wing-backs so they sort of sit in around next to Kimmich is going to help us defensively, stop conceding as many goals, help our new number one goalkeeper, Leilton Silva, who's obviously quite young as well and inexperienced. And then we've got a young defence as well, to be fair. I mean, Vincent Costa is our number one left-sided centre-back, but he is still only 20 years of age. He's fantastic, don't get me wrong, but he's got an error in him, as all young defenders would do. And I think we're sort of just slightly on the cusp of a rebuild inside of this rebuild, because we've got old enough players that we might need to sell on in the next couple of seasons. The likes of Jacob Ramsey, Darwin Nunez, Samuel Marodion, I did say I would sell before the 10th year. Yankuto as well, that we can replace. We just need to find those replacements. We got options off the bench as well that I think is fantastic. Javi Guerra, Mohamed Kudus is probably stuck around for a lot of seasons compared to what I thought he would. Considering his game time has mainly been off the bench, he's still been a valuable asset for us going into this season. But we're now going into season number 7, and we really need to win another Premier League or Champions League this season, or else we've got 3 seasons to win too many competitions that my anxiety can't take it. So this season was an impactful one, and we picked up another Carabao Cup, although it doesn't count towards our trophy cabinet that we're looking for. It's still nice to do, and Adam Henderby scored the goal. It was another Champions League semi-final defeat, though, again to Liverpool, who knocked us out 3-0 on aggregate. However, they lost in the final, which was kind of nice because we went on to lift the Premier League, which is exactly what I was hoping would happen. 98 points as well. Yeah, what a whopping season. 98 points, 18 points clear of Manchester United. We stormed, dominated this league campaign, and we didn't even have a goal scorer get 14 or more across the whole Premier League camp. I mean, Samu got 13. Darwin Nunez, 12. Jovanovic, Yamal, all up there with quite a lot of goals. And Jacob Ramsey had the highest average rating this season. Quite phenomenal, really. Done very well. David Silva's a clean sheet. I was going to say, I don't recognise that name, but that's a good goalkeeper. Stats-wise, we scored the most goals again, 112. Most dribbles as well, which is kind of interesting. We had the most shots. Fewest conceded, though, we're back up there. And if you look, 32 was the lowest with Chelsea. We only conceded 37, which, considering the formation we are playing, I think that's very good. One defensive midfielder, then everybody else is gun-ho. We've done very well. Again, 4th for clean sheets. This, I think, is a promising season and showing us what we could possibly achieve with Aston Villa. And, of course, that is another Premier League title. Of course, that is now our 4th Premier League title that we have got within our 10 seasons. Just one left. We still got to win those 2 Champions Leagues, though. Yes, we have, and we've also got to overcome Liverpool in doing so, not only in the Champions League, who keep knocking us out, but in the world's best club reputation. And so we embarked on our possibly best transfer window for a while, as we say goodbye to Darwin Nunez, who at 32 years of age went to Al Hilal for 23 million. A few other players have left us on free transfers, including our first ever transfer, Mohamed Kudus, who's gone also to Saudi Arabia, as well as Amadou Onana. But we've got 2 players who have joined the club. First off, we've got Vibol, £29 million, a Portuguese winger who we have brought in, and a very good talent as well. He is left-footed, but can play anywhere across that front three or up front, and I think that's a very good price for how good he is. However, the last sign-in was £117 million on what will definitely be one of the 3 players that we include in our starting 11 from Chelsea, Panagiotis Ilya, who is also Cypriot as well as English. He is a striker who can also play in that number 10 role, and he is fantastic. Just 22 years of age, but has a great potential. I know £117 million is a lot of money, but it's worth it if he develops into a world-class talent. So going into season number 8, here are the 3 talents that we have got lined up that could potentially be the 3 English players we have bought to fit into our starting 11. We've got Ilya, who we've just mentioned that we've just purchased, potentially going in that number 10 role. Henderby from the left-hand side as an inside forward. We're going to start training him to play there so he doesn't look to take over Lamine Yamal's spot, and he has great potential in playing there because he is right-footed as an inside forward, could be deadly for him. And finally, we've got Sam McKiernan, who needs a bit of development. He needs game time, and we're going to give him that in that left-back role this season. And the season has started well. We have dropped points, but we have shown a lot of promise that we can again retain the Premier League and potentially put up a fight for that Champions League again. Unfortunately, though, at the halfway mark of the Premier League, our form had dropped off, and we are now 9 points behind Arsenal, and they have a game in hand at the top of the Premier League as we're currently sat in 5th place. In the Champions League, though, we do look to be doing quite well and should qualify in the top 8 with 2 games remaining, sat currently in 7th place. But of course, as we know, actually doing well in the group stage and then winning and lifting the trophy is 2 very different things. But if you've got this far, you must be enjoying the content. Please consider subscribing. Subscribers have dropped off recently. I want to keep that ball rolling. We've got a big goal to hit by the end of this year, 200,000 subscribers. You can help me get there. Unfortunately, the Premier League campaign came down to the final day where we flumped our chance of lifting the trophy with a loss away to Anfield. Now, if you're looking at the Premier League, Liverpool won the league by 5 points above us, but their 3 points gained and our 3 points lost meant that if we did win the fixture, we might have defeated Arsenal in goal difference and lifted the trophy ourselves. In the Champions League, we got all the way to the semi-final where we needed a goal in the 94th minute, and we found one right at the death with a great ball across and Jovanovic putting it into extra time. Where the hero of the fixture was a youth academy prospect that I have not heard of before in Deal Wheel. Great name, by the way. The 20-year-old English right winger came off the bench and scored in the 121st minute of extra time to give Aston Villa the lead and take us into the Champions League final. But in the final in Lisbon, it was the mighty Barcelona that we came up against, and they took an early lead in just the 20th minute to really put the cat amongst the pigeons. But we did not give up. We kept on fighting, and in the first half, just before half-time as well, a free kick, a nice little set piece, and a little bit of luck as Ilya puts in the equaliser. Going into the second half, though, anybody's to win, and that Champions League final trophy was Aston Villa's as Vibo, the new signing, scores the winner. Yes, Champions League trophy number 2 in the bag for Aston Villa in Lisbon. A fantastic performance against a very good Barcelona team, but we were just better on the day. And what a time to do it, because that being season number 8 means that our second Champions League trophy is won, and we need one more in the final 2 years, as well as, of course, another another Premier League trophy. But what has it done for us in terms of reputation? We are now number 1 in the world. Now, what I will say about this is it's no good being number 1 now, and then by the end of the 10 years, when the challenge of becoming the best bit or the biggest club in the world, us wanting to complete it then, and we're sat down in 5th, we need to stay there. We need to still be in number 1 by the end of the 10 years for this challenge to count as being completed. So we still got a job on our hands. It definitely isn't over yet, because winning the Champions League, we've only managed to do 2 in those 8 seasons, and we've of course found it very difficult to complete that. And Liverpool are just really good at the minute. Beating them to the Premier League is just a challenge within itself. It was sad to see, but maybe he deserved it. But Deal Wheel, who of course scored that magic goal in the semi-final of the Champions League to help us get to the final, was sold to Norwich for £2.9 million. Go get him, Deal. We also said goodbye to a few free transfers, including Lewis Ferguson, who was the biggest name to note, but we welcomed 2 new players. First off, a right-back from PSG that cost us nearly £90 million, but he is absolutely phenomenal. A Moroccan 20-year-old, and already he is a world-class style of right back, perfect for our formation as well. And then we've got Januel Belosian from Union Berlin, 27 years of age. He is a left-footed centre-back that goes straight into our team and helps us in terms of squad depth, because of course we've already got the fantastic Vincent Costa, and we haven't mentioned him enough, but his development in the last few seasons has been phenomenal. And I think it's the perfect time to have a little bit of a deeper dive into the team that we have got and see the development that we have, because that last season there was so much going on that we had to breeze over it, but the players that we have at our disposal now are fantastic. Obviously, we just seen Costa. Lamine Yamal is also another 5-star player within our team. As you expect for Lamine Yamal, hopefully that's exactly what he's going to look like in a few FM's time, because he's that good, I think, already. And Adam Henderby, I mentioned about playing him on the left-hand side because he was a right-sided player beforehand. Took to it like a duck to water. Fantastic player. Had a great season last year. Got 10 league goals and 14 assists, but 16 and 18 in total, and really helped us in that Champions League run. So I'm really pleased that he's managed to do that, and he is easily nailed in as one of our English talents that we will have in our first team in that final season. Adam Henderby, I love him. Milan Jovanovic, who scored the winner, of course, in the final. Great player. Fantastic as well. Developed quite nicely. Leilton Silva, who has really grabbed that goalkeeper, no pun intended, grabbed that goalkeeper position by the horns, and he has rode it right into first place. He takes over the other goalkeeper that we could have potentially had. Samu, don't worry, I will eventually sell him. Probably just in that final year. There was just no interest this summer. No interest whatsoever. But I will sell Samu. Not that we need to, but I will. Wiebel, another great development there for Wiebel. Great player. Can also play on that left-hand side as well. He's done really well. But Ilya, the other Englishman that we were using in that centre attacking midfield position, I don't know whether he looks better as a striker or a cam, but he's fantastic. The development's great. He's really good. I mean, he's one of the first names in our team sheet now. One of the first names. So we've got great players all the way through. Sam McKiernan, there was a little bit of development, not as much as what I hoped, but he is still getting there. That first team football really helped him last season. Of course, he lifted the Champions League trophy. He played in that game, so we've got to keep going and keep faith that he can be a world-class left-back by the time we finish that season number 10. The aim for season number 9, though, was just get one of the 2 trophies that we need at least. Either the Premier League or the Champions League. At least win one of them, so we haven't got too much to do in season 10. However, just past the halfway mark and into January, and we are trailing Arsenal this season by 6 points, and they have a game in hand at the top of the Premier League table. A good performance in the Champions League phase means we don't have to go into that dreaded playoff spot, and we get a bit of a rest. We lost 2 games to Galatasaray and Real Madrid, but we won 6 games, including a nice little 3-2 win against Liverpool, who I had to highlight because they have dropped down into 9th place, and that's because they've been deducted 9 points for going into administration. They were winning Premier League titles just last season, and Champions Leagues they've won 2 seasons in the bounce just a few years ago, and now they're in administration. But when they stepped off as our rivals, Arsenal became our problem because they beat us in the semi-final of the FA Cup, and they beat us in the semi-final of the Champions League across 2 legs, 6-5 on aggregate as well. And as they say, it comes in 3. They beat us in the Premier League 2-1, and that was enough to claim the title by 1 point above us. Absolutely gutted. Yeah, it's made this challenge incredibly difficult now because we've now got to go on and do a double of the Champions League and the Premier League to consider what I would say is obviously a success in terms of the challenge itself. We're capable of doing it. We've definitely got a great team. I'm just really disappointed we couldn't get that Premier League over the line, especially with Liverpool dropping off. Lamine Yamal was phenomenal this season, by the way. He had 9 player of the matches, 21 assists. Maybe we're just lacking one sole striker, which is weird considering how attacking we are, but we just didn't have it. I made sure I played Sam McKiernan every single game to keep his development, and he has got better. The rest of the team, I kind of just allowed it to happen, and Henderby has been going in, as well as Ilya. They haven't been a problem, by the way. And Lamine Yamal, 26 goals and 29 assists. He's had a world-class season. We've got to check to see whether he wins the Ballon d'Or, if I'm honest, because that is absolutely phenomenal, although we didn't win anything, so I'm still a little bit unsure. I mean, we're going into season number 10 now. We've got Jacob Ramsey, 32. We've got a couple of, good experienced players, of course. Eduardo Camavinga. Joshua Kimmich is 38. Every season, he just keeps extending his contract. He's got another year on his deal. So he's going to be playing to his 39th season. He has been here for ages now. And I remember when he signed, I was like, if we could just keep Joshua Kimmich for a couple of seasons, that'd be great. He's still here. He still plays every single game. He's got a natural fitness of 20. He's like our Ryan Giggs or our Paul Scholes, who just carried on playing and carried on being good. I mean, he's a great player. We cannot deny it. But yeah, I mean, there's something about this team that I absolutely love. Can they pull it out of the bag in Season 10? Maybe there's one or two names that we need to bring in. And of course, I need to find a way of getting rid of Samu. There is interest as well, and he's unhappy. So I dare say it might be easier than what I think. Now, although this wasn't on our bingo card to complete as a challenge, we have also gone on and won the FIFA Club World Cup, which I don't think we have done previously. We haven't, no. So that is great. That's a new trophy to tick off. And of course, we beat Liverpool in that final in extra time. So Ilya scored the winner there. Vinicius Jr. scored for them after 4 minutes. But Aaron Henderby, 2 English talents that we have brought in, scored the 2 goals to make us technically the best club in the world. Now, in terms of the reputation going into the final year, we've dropped down into 2nd place because Arsenal's overtook us. And I'm not really surprised because they just won a domestic treble. Well, they won a treble. They won the Champions League, of course, as well as the Premier League and the FA Cup. So there's no surprise in why they've overtook us as the best club in the world right now. We need to reclaim that in our final year. And to do that, we need to make sure that we kept on bringing in world-class players. And Bino has just joined the club, 24 years of age, a Dutch defender from Bayern Munich for £109 million, which was less than what they paid for him 3 seasons before. But as you can see, he is a world-class centre-back. Samu Omorodion has left the club and he's gone to Barcelona. The 29-year-old Spanish striker has joined Barcelona for £101 million after a lot of very good seasons, but that last season, look in the league, that dropped off quite a bit. But instead of replacing him, I decided to buy another defensive midfielder in Moises Caicedo. And the reason for it, and I actually spent £63 million, which I think is quite a good deal. I know he's 31, but he still has natural fitness of 18, so I still think it's good. The reason why is because we're going back to season number 1's tactic, the 4-2-3-1 that won us the league in a very freak accident, really, in season number 1, to see if we can pull this back and potentially win the double of the Champions League and the Premier League. And that might have been a very smart move because we were absolutely fantastic when we made the switch, both attacking wise and defensively. And just past the halfway point as we went into January, we were dominating the league title, only losing 1 game to Chelsea, 54 points to Liverpool's 47. Yes, they are back. And Lamine Yamal has 16 Premier League goals, and it's the highest average rating, the most man of the matches, and the most assists so far. Plus, we have even got the most clean sheets at this point. We wasn't as prolific in the Champions League, however, we still qualified in the top 8, losing to Barcelona and Samu Omorodion and Napoli, but winning 6 fixtures against fairly easy clubs and Real Madrid. But with the ultimate task of course, winning both the Premier League and the Champions League in this final season, we had to keep the pressure on, and we were still flying in the Premier League with 72 points after 27 games, can hopefully open up a bigger gap with a game in hand over Liverpool. We absolutely smashed through AC Milan next in the round of 16 of the Champions League, defeating them 10-0 on aggregate. And if results went our way in April, we could be crowned champions of the Premier League and get that over and done with, so we could just solely focus on the Champions League. And that is exactly what we did. With only losing to Arsenal typically in March throughout April, we only dropped 2 points against West Ham, winning a lot of games and scoring a lot of goals, meaning that we are crowned champions of the Premier League in our 10th season, securing our 5th Premier League trophy with 91 points still with 3 games left to play. And Lamine Yamal has 27 goals from right midfield with a great average rating, 13 player of the matches and 20 assists. And he still has 3 games left to play. In the Champions League, though, it's Barcelona in the semi-final. We've got a 1-goal lead going into the second leg thanks to a Yan Couto header. And typically, the other team that we will play potentially in the final could be Arsenal or Real Madrid. Remember the 2 teams that are close to us in the world rankings? It's Arsenal and Real Madrid. A phenomenal performance in Barcelona though, starting off with Javi Guerra's penalty against them, and it carried on. Joshua Kimmich was still playing at the age of 39. He's still getting assists, with Bino scoring a goal. Samuel Marodion though did come back and haunt us after Barcelona's very good play. Down the right hand side, Magro finds him in the box and he punished us with a fantastic finish that we are all too familiar with. But thankfully on this night in Barcelona, we punished them more than what Samu punished us, and we came back flying, scoring more goals, and Lamine Yamal came back to haunt Barcelona himself, scoring a late winner, meaning we are just one game away from winning the Champions League, completing this challenge, and it's against Arsenal. Of course it is. And what a way to prepare for the Champions League final, but go into Wembley and getting stuff 5-1 in the FA Cup final. Thankfully though, on the night of the final, we were absolutely clinical. And a ball down that right-hand side from Yankuto found Ruben van Bommel to kick things off in the first minute of the Champions League final. But we carried on pressing, and we carried on going, holding on to the second half, keeping Arsenal very quiet, when Adam Henderby turned into absolute storming shot into that top corner. I think it took a deflection, but they all still count. And at the end of the fixture, with Arsenal still pressing, still trying to find a way, he popped up again to find his teammate Jovanovic to smash it in to make it 3-0 on the night. And it's Champions League number 3 for Aston Villa, which means trophy-wise, we have completed the challenge. And what a final it was in Cardiff. We dominated Arsenal and played absolutely fantastic. But was it enough? Now, this season as a whole was mental, because we also finished runners-up in the FA Cup, runners-up in the Carabao Cup, which I didn't even mention. We lost to Chelsea in that. Obviously getting stuffed by Manchester City 5-1. We ran away with the Premier League, even lost to Liverpool in the final game of the season, but still 10 points clear of them. Lamine Yamal was a beast. He got 28 goals, highest average rating, most player of the matches, most assists. We didn't get the clean sheets in the end. We were quite disappointed in terms of clean sheets, considering we were really high on that. But statistically, the most goals are 131. Now, I know our team is absolutely fantastic, but still, I'm really proud of that. Viewers conceded, we are still down in 10th, or in 5th place, sorry, and most clean sheets down in 7th. But overall, challenge-wise, historically, we can see trophies we have completed. 3 Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues, 5 of them. We've even got a Club World Cup, which we did anticipate getting, but we still got that. But was it enough to carry on being named as the best club in the world? Yes! We overtook Arsenal in that final season, beating them in the Champions League final, which doesn't go any worse than that. Oh, what a story. Aston Villa, what a club. I very much enjoyed their rise in the last couple of seasons, and long may it continue, because Aston Villa, that was absolutely a journey. Now, the save game file will be made available for anybody who wants to carry this on. You can get it over on the patreon.com/MegaLukeGaming or on the YouTube channel membership page. When this video drops soon after, the save game file will be made available for you, which you can get this Aston Villa tactic. If you just load up the save game file, you can save it for yourself, or even the 4-1-3-2 narrow that I was using as well, and you can rename it because I just moved it from something different, and even the version that I was using before that. So you can get all 3 of the tactics that I used today for quite a lot of that save across those 10 years for yourself. Or if you just want to have a browse over the save, you can do so. It supports the channel. It helps me pay for Dad to be here 2 days a week, so you can get the videos that you enjoy, where it's me and Dad as well. But I really hope you enjoyed this Aston Villa takeover for 10 seasons, because I did really enjoy it as well. Thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe to the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because of course we've got that goal of 200,000 subscribers that we want to hit by the end of the year, and we need your help to help us get there. 30,000 away. So it's a big ask, but it is definitely possible. And if you're now looking for something to watch, well, on screen right now, I have the perfect video for you to watch, because me and Dad has just rebuilt 2 of the promoted sides, Leeds and Burnley, and we tried to do what we can to make sure that that run of promoted sides coming up and going straight back down ends with this video. Oh, and by the way, one last thing. Lamine Yamal did not win the Ballon d'Or. Amad Diallo on it. What? Look at the stats. 13 and 13. Yamal, 26 and 29. How?